I wanted to talk a little bit about circumference and area of circles. First, the circumference. And let's talk about some parts here. This right here, from the center to the edge, that's called the radius. And this radius is equal to 3 units. That could be 3 inches, 3 feet, yards, so on. And the diameter is all the way across. So it's from edge through the center and to the other edge right there. So if you can imagine this other part right here, that's also going to be 3. And so 3 and 3 is 6. So the diameter is 6 units across. And then we can have this other thing called the circumference of a circle. The circumference of a circle is the distance around a circle. It's like the perimeter of the circle. And that is defined by, you know what, actually, even before I get to that, that, there's this idea of this number pi. And the number pi is this, it's about 3.14159. It's this decimal that keeps on going that you probably have heard of before. Well, the way you get pi is you take the distance around a circle, which I said was the circumference. I'll just call that c. And you divide it by the diameter of the circle. So when you take the distance around a circle and you divide it by the distance across a circle, you get this number 3.14 and so on. Well, we have all the parts here. We have pi, circumference, and diameter. If we want just the circumference, then we would multiply both sides by the diameter, and the circumference ends up being the diameter times pi. So circumference, this same c right here, is equal to the diameter times pi. So we use this here. If we're given the radius of 3, and we know the diameter then is 6, then the circumference is the diameter 6 times pi. And this is said to be the exact answer. We could approximate this by taking 6 times 3.14 and so on. I think that's about 18.84. So this is known as the exact answer. This is the approximate answer. Because this is the approximate answer, even though it looks so precise. We only use part of the decimal here of pi. Remember, it's a decimal that keeps on going forever. So since we only use part of the decimal, that is only part of the answer, so that's an approximate answer, and this is known as the exact answer. Okay, let's go on with this one. We know that the diameter, I'll call it d, is 8. Okay, if the diameter is 8, then that means the radius is equal to half that. That means this is 4 and this is 4. And so the radius then has to be 4. Well, this other formula, known as the area, and the area is, remember, the area is how many squares fit inside, this is not a very good drawing, but basically how many squares fit inside of a shape. And we have complete squares, not a great drawing, but we have complete squares, but we also have partial squares right here. And so this and this would combine to make one complete square and so on. And it's kind of it's hard to get that exact because these corners or the edges are rounded. So we have a formula that will help us with that. And again, here's pi times the radius squared. So we were given the diameter, 8. We know the radius then is 4, and so we could plug it into our formula. Pi times 4 squared. Okay, well 4 squared, that does not mean 4 plus 4. It means 4 times 4. And so 4 times 4 is 16. 16 pi. So usually we'll write the pi at the end of our answer, and our number here, it's not quite a coefficient, but our regular number before 16 pi. And then you can multiply 16 times 3.14 to get the approximation, but I'd be okay with that. And so the idea that now all you need is the radius or the diameter. I could say that here the diameter is 10, and the radius has to be half of that, which is 5. Okay, from here, I can calculate either one you need. I can calculate the circumference, which back to the top here is diameter times pi. That's diameter times pi. The diameter is 10. Oh, I know it right here. Diameter is 10. 10 pi. Okay, great. That's the distance around the object. And the area. So the circumference is distance around. The area is the, I'll put a colon here. Area is number of squares inside. And that is pi times the radius squared. So the radius then is 5. And we take pi times 5 squared. Remember, 5 squared is 25. That means 5 times 5. And we'll put the pi at the end. And there we go. That's it.